Safety symbols. You're all familiar with the idea of a safety symbol. What's it do?
It like warns you, like this is dangerous, this is like what is dangerous about it, and just kind of tells you, like it gives you like a little heads up, almost like.
It's like a to-do, not to do, right? Sometimes it doesn't always tell us what not to do. Sometimes it tells us what we are doing or what we should do. Sometimes, though, it's like, oh, caution, stop, stop. But how does it do it?
Images.
With a picture. They always say a picture's worth 1,000 words, right? And you guys are very, very familiar with some of the safety symbols already. There is a safety symbol that I know you know, and there are two ways to interpret it, and I bet using context clues of a situation you could. If you saw skull and crossbones, you're either going to think pirate or poison, and you're going to evaluate where you are. If you're in this classroom, you're like, clearly, poison. If you're on the beach, you're like, could be a pirate. But you know what skull and crossbones means, right? Just like if you see something that looks like whale's tails with a circle, you likely know what that means. If you're thinking like, I think I've seen that in a biohazard container. You probably have, someplace you dispose of blood or of needles. Those are an immediate indication to all observers of how to behave. There are some in here that you do need to know. But they're kind of weird ones, not like skull and crossbone, ones that you're not necessarily familiar with. So we have this first one up here. It looks like a test tube pouring onto a bench top that's dissolving.
That could mean acid.
One of the types of chemicals that would bear that symbol would be an acid. There are some others that could bear that symbol. We also can depict this by a diamond with a C in it, and the word it stands for is corrosive. Corrosive means denatures protein. It's fancy science speak, right? Denaturing protein. So I kind of want to give you an idea of what that means. You, my friends, you are a lot of protein. You're like a big old pile of protein. Your eyeballs, your hair, your skin, all that stuff, lots of protein.
Your fingernails and your hair are made out of the same material.
Yes, they are different forms of the same kind of chemical. Anything that comes, any of those things, any of that you-ness comes into contact with something corrosive, it denatures. Denature is a fancy way of saying the chemical structure breaks down. You've seen the denaturing of protein before, and quite frankly, a lot of us really appreciate it. For any of you in the room who are not vegetarian or vegan, if you're like, yeah, I can get behind a good T-bone tossed on the grill, some good sear marks on it, that's all you're doing when you cook. You're denaturing protein. In that instance, heat denaturing protein makes it delightful to eat, right? You're like, yes, I will eat that. This, not so much. It's not going to corrode glass, because glass is not made of protein. It will not corrode your tabletop. Your table is not made of protein. Rubber, totally safe, not made of protein. It's the stuff that, well, makes up living things that we have to worry about. So if you ever see this symbol, don't get it on your skin. Don't get it in your eyes. Don't get it on your hair. And take necessary precautions. If you do happen to do any of those things, we know the eye wash drill already, right? We know how the eye wash works. Hold your eyes open, bend over 20 minutes, push the paddle, water shoots out, take out your contacts, pray that EMS is fast. Nervous yet?
Yes.
Use it as an armrest.
Just do it. Please.
Any special precautions? When do I use this?
It's
chemicals on a part of your body that don't fit in the sink. So torso. Anything saturated with chemical has to be taken off. So we're taking off any clothes. Somebody's holding up the safety blanket, right? Yeah, nice shower curtain. That was about a quarter to a half of the way up. This is not the Hilton Garden Inn rain shower. Yes, this is a power shower. This is you've gone to the car wash and left the window open. It is also cold. Now you know. See, you have to wear like your summer sundress. This is a messy prospect. Maintenance really doesn't particularly care for this day. Sorry, maintenance. But I think it's important you see it work, right? If you need it, you need to know how it works. So I'm going to actually wheel it, once it stops dripping, I'm going to wheel the garbage can out of the way because truthfully, safety equipment does absolutely no good if you can't get to it. True. You know how that works. So we got our shower. Careful with the rules. You're going to be there till the EMS gets there. Everybody else is going out in the hallway. This next thing looks like a little garbage can, because it is. That's disposal safety. There are certain things you don't just put in the garbage. Needles, for example. You had to use an EpiPen. We don't put an EpiPen in the garbage. You had to do an insulin injection. You don't put that in the garbage. We don't put sharps in the garbage. This symbol indicates you're using something that's going to take special precautions to be disposed of. We never put broken glass in the garbage. Ever. We put broken glass in a safety piece of equipment you might have missed. There's a bucket under my sink. It's labeled glass. That's called the broken glass bucket. Anytime you break glass, we put it in there. Here's what happens at the end of the day. So you guys think at 2:30 you go home, life is good, or you go to practice, whatever. These fabulous, wonderful, kind, hard-working people come through the building and clean it. They empty our garbage cans and wash our desks and sweep our floors. And when they empty the garbage can, yes, they wear gloves, but they also push down on things to tie them up, right? We all do that at home. Push the garbage down. That's a rude awakening if there's glass in there. It's an unpleasant day to be a member of the maintenance team. So we never put broken glass in the garbage. We also never put biohazards in the garbage. So if you spring a leak from your nose in here, not the booger kind, the blood kind, we don't put that in the garbage. We put it in a Ziploc bag and we take it down to the biohazard container. And some of the stuff we do at the end of the hour today, we are also going to dispose of very carefully because it's not something that just goes in the garbage. Lots of people can get hurt if you put things in the wrong place. What's wrong with this test tube? Broken glass. Symbol warns us of a few things. One, never, ever, ever, ever use broken glass. Check any glass you're going to use for chips, cracks, or fractures. It also tells us you're using glass. So, just like at home, glass breaks, it breaks here just as easily. So, be careful. Take the necessary precautions. That's all that means. And also, if it does break, where do you get rid of it? You got it. This last one, do I really have to explain well once I get my big old melon out of the way? That would be a good answer. If you were going to say apron, you'd be correct. aprons here in a moment of just true sadness. They are not the frilly, adorable aprons that I wear at home when I am baking. The aprons here are rubberized. And they are very long, right? Like, you guys would agree that I am actually a relatively tall person. And this goes down pretty far. Now, not all of you are quite as tall as I am, right?
Yeah.
We haven't quite gotten there yet, and that's okay. There's a trick for how to shorten your apron, and it turns out I have to do this trick now to get the apron around the two of us. So, it's the only way it works. Fold the apron up, so those of you who are a little bit shorter don't trip over your apron, and so I can fit multiple people in here. You'll notice I'm tying it on the front. And the reason that we tie our aprons on the front here are because it's much less likely to get yourself stuck in the apron. How many of you are like, I'm not really good at tying behind my back? Yeah, it turns out it's a really difficult skill. If you tie it around the front, it should wrap around. They are pretty long apron strings. It should wrap around. You can just tie it on the front, that way you can get out. If you do get stuck, you can do that thing you did in like the first grade when you got caught in your coat because your zipper got stuck, so you had to go up to your teacher and be like, and then your teacher either made you like step out of it or helped you unzip it. You remember that? We all did that. I distinctly recall it. Mrs. Adamian was so patient. So we tied on our front, and this is not the only apron in here. Whenever you see that symbol, I want you to remember aprons are located in this drawer. Lots of them. And they're smelly because the chemical-resistant aprons are smell like tires in a fairly unpleasant way. But hey, I'd rather smell like a tire than have to be naked in the shower. Agreed? Yes. Very special apron folding voodoo here. I'm very fussy about how aprons get folded because this drives me bananas. You all probably do it with your sock drawer at home. You just shove things in and close the drawer and there's like socks vomiting out the top. We don't do that with aprons here. Make an apron. Magically, it's no longer apron shaped. I know. Wait for it. Just need to look like an apron. Then it turns into, from a long rectangle, it turns into baby rectangle, even smaller rectangle. And when we get here, we set it down on our desktop and take the apron strings and lay them inside. And then we make our rectangle a square. Then it goes in the drawer neatly. I told you, apron folding voodoo right there. So we know that one. Other protective things we should probably do. Before I would go into any lab situation today, I'm not going to go into the lab situation in these shoes. I drop or I spill. That's the top of my feet, right? You guys won't have this problem whenever you go in the lab because, my friends, you have to wear socks and you have to wear closed-toed shoes. Gentlemen, you generally are a bit luckier than the ladies are. Your shoe style typically covers significantly more of your foot. So you're rocking your Sperry topsiders, you're fine. So I brought things that will cover the tops of my feet, so life is good. I didn't show you this safety symbol because I know you know this safety symbol.
Goggles.
And you're going to be all like, but I'm going to end up with goggle lines and I'm going to look like a nerd. This is my I don't care face. I will hear you, and it does not mean that I am going to care or be compassionate. Put your goggles on. You get it? Good.
As my mom likes to say, she likes to register that with the complaint department.
That is a good place to register it, and that's typically what I will do. I'll give you the face that's like, and then I'll just kick you out of lab. That's not going to be a problem, especially by the end of this hour. Won't be a problem.
It means fire.
It means fire, but in what way does it mean fire? Does it mean...
Oh, don't let fire go near.
Yes, it means you're working with something that is flammable. Do not introduce open flame. Now, this one, it makes me slightly sad to have to talk about this one because I thought of you guys yesterday, and usually in the evenings when I think about you guys, I would rather it be something positive, something happy. You know, I tell my husband a story about what we did in class today, about one of your reactions, about something you said. Those are happy things. But unfortunately, yesterday watching the news, I thought of you guys in a very, very sad way. Yesterday, a family was using their grill and using it in a way that might not have respected the safety rules. They were using a grill in a garage. And I don't know if you guys know how your cars work. Your cars have what we call an internal combustion engine. The word combustion should make you think, fire, right? You have gas tanks in your cars. Depending on what kind of car you drive, like I drive a big old SUV, that is a 26-gallon gas tank. That's a lot of gas. The grill was close enough to the car that it ignited the gas tank. You ignite the gas tank. You ignite every gas tank in your garage. Think about it. The one that fills the lawnmower, the one that fills the snowblower. All of those things are exceptionally flammable, and all of those containers are marked with this symbol. Now, the sad part of the story, and what made me think of you guys, because I was sad for the individuals involved, but happy that we had the conversation we had yesterday, because unfortunately, the 17-year-old daughter of the family was not able to make it out of the basement. The firefighters did their best. They went in, and you could tell by the looks on their faces that was a devastating blow to every first responder that she lost her life. That's why I make sure we start now, we reiterate these safety rules, and we know if we see this symbol, do not introduce a source of ignition. A grill is a source of ignition. There are 3 things necessary for every fire. You must always have oxygen. You must always have fuel. And you must always have ignition. That's why spontaneous combustion doesn't happen. Because ignition requires energy, and that's not spontaneous. Your garage is totally full of oxygen and fuel. Not a great place to go out and light a candle or a cigarette or, try and rub things together to get a spark. Don't say it to frighten you. I say it to prepare you. That's all that is. Be prepared. It is one of those really unfortunate, sad tragedies. And they happen. Anytime we try and use a fire extinguisher or fire blanket, we're attempting to deprive the fire of oxygen. Ignition is already there. Fuel is already there. We're depriving it of oxygen. So keep that in mind. That's how we do it. We smother. If you're using the fire extinguisher, I know you know this now, right? We're going to get it. We're going to stand 10 feet away from it. We're going to... Then, and then we're going to sweep. Absolutely. I tried to assure myself last night that all of you knew your proper fire safety and I should not be so worried. But I'm a worrier by nature. So I'm not going to lie, a little bit freaked out last night. Especially because 17 is not that far removed from how old you all are. So I was just like... Fire blankets. What do we use a fire blanket for? Person fire, small tabletop fire, and everyone's favorite,
Shower curtain.
the shower curtain. It is, technically. It counts. A lot of the things that we learn in here, I like to make sure we learn in context of doing. So now we are going to do something to help us learn, but it's going to be something not necessarily super safe. So I'm going to do it for you.
It's gonna be fun.
Before I do it.
Be a goat eye.